Welcome back to the reality, guys. I'm your host, Billy Blinks, joined as always by my co-host, Brian.
All right, buddy.
And more importantly, our special guest, our second exit interview for this season of The Amazing Race, the T in Team T-Rex. Tim, how are you, my friend?
Good. What's going on, guys?
We're really excited to have you. We really enjoyed you on the show. Again, like we said to Asta and Nina last time, sorry we're talking to you so soon, but hey, it is what it is, right?
Mhm.
So we kind of were talking a little bit pre-show. We're joking about Team T-Rex. So what's the origins of Team T-Rex?
Well, we'll go back to when Rex asked me to be on the show. We were on the 11th hole of the golf course, and he says to me, he says, "Yeah," he says, "they asked to meet me to be on that show, The Amazing Race." So I said to him, I said, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah, they want me and my brother, but I don't think my brother can do it because he's still coaching, and he wouldn't be able to do it that time." He says, "But I have an alternate." I said, "Oh, do you care to share? I mean, can you share who your alternate is, or is it like a secret?" And he goes, "No, it's you dummy." So So I said to him, and I said, "So I'm going to tell you right now, it's my mother-in-law's favorite show. We call her Yaya. It's Greek for grandma."
Okay.
So I'm like Rex. I'm like, "That's Yaya's show. Like she has not missed an episode." And he goes, "Well, then it's 100% you. You're in. Rob's out." So sure enough, I came home and I tell my mother-in-law, and I says, "I think she lives with us." And I said, "I think I'm going on the Amazing Race." And she goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" I said, "Rex, he just asked me to go on the Amazing Race with him." So we had to go through the process. And we had to go through all that. And then my mother-in-law is the one. Yaya's the one who came up with the name T Rex, Tim for Tim, Rex for Rex. And then we kind of designed the logo and all that, and just put it together.
The logo is great. I mean, it's like
Awesome.
we literally brought up right away. We did our preview special, and we don't know who the contestants are. Bring up, and then obviously we know who Rex Ryan is. Pops up on our screen, and we see you guys, and then the team names and the shirts, and we're like, oh, we're way in on these guys.
Yeah, when people like go in with a team name, I think is also really cool. Like you guys, like Team Croqueta, like love when teams actually like establish their nickname like from day one.
It's almost easier that way because you really don't get a chance to really talk to anybody. Like when you're talking to people when you're racing. When you're not racing, you're kind of locked in your room and not really to be able to communicate with anyone.
Really?
So if you
Okay.
give yourself a team name right out of the gate, because you really don't know anybody's names, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
kind of got to learn them. Like it's kind of hard to learn everyone's names when you can't really have a conversation with anyone. So, and plus there being 12 teams, that's a lot of people's names to learn when not much communication. So if you do come up with a team name, it's a lot easier because everyone will just know who you are at that point. So I think it's easier on us too than if other teams had team names.
That's super interesting because I know that's something that Brian specifically and like a lot of our viewers ask about, what goes on in between the pit stops. And obviously COVID changed a lot of it. So it's really interesting. So with you not being able to really communicate and get to know and really, for better lack of term, politic in between the rounds, do you think it makes being on the race easier or harder now?
I think it makes it harder for Rex for a team like us.
Yeah.
Like we were more of the social aspect. Like if we get to know you, we can work together. I don't know if you guys watched it. We got to know Michael and Marcus.
Yeah.
So we're working with them guys. We kind of solidified a deal that we were going to help each other out. Um, so I think it helps when you're able to communicate, especially if you're more of the social aspect team.
For sure.
It's so interesting. So I mean, it's I seen on your race compared to last year's. Obviously, you guys were given a little bit more freedom with the travel, with the cars, a little bit less being plopped in one spot. But did you feel still that the COVID restrictions kind of maybe limited the experience you would normally have? And not downplaying your experience at all, but do you feel like you were more on a TV show than maybe you said you're Yaya and all been a big fan of the show, and in the past seasons you really get thrown in the thick of it? So did you feel like a noticeable change from what you're used to watching?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. When we were in Germany and Austria, I mean, we wanted a beer bad, and you couldn't have one. So
Oh,
I mean, yeah, I mean that part sucks.
Yeah.
You're in your room a lot when you're not racing. But yeah, I mean that's COVID, and that's what they had to do.
hmm.
So Austria. Now, obviously, it's probably a good and a bad memory for you guys, and obviously didn't end well. So we want to ask. We're not going to beat up on you too much, but the bells and the yodeling. I mean, since Rex isn't here, I mean, it was Rex's fault, right?
I didn't. No, we didn't have a shot at them damn bells, dude. I'm telling you that right now. They edited it out. Where there's one part where where I am so frustrated. Like those things are beating me up. Like they say that we at 10 attempts, dude, it was like 30. It was way more than that.
Wow.
Like there was one part where I'm about to lose my shit. And I look at Rex and there's the guy with the accordion. I'm like, dude, I got a better chance of playing that damn thing than I do these things right now. I got my dog here. He's trying to.
Oh, it's okay.
That's
Mine's
fine.
right here too.
So then the other part that I did, it must have been, I must have been copyright or something like that. I was beat up again. And I just put my hands in my head and I'm like, dude, these aren't the Alpine bells, man. These are Hell's bells. So, I mean, those things just beat the shit out of us. I think Rex did good on the yodeling. You know, he was swaying back and forth. He was dancing. He went up there and owned it. So, I mean, the yodeling, I'll give to him, but they also didn't show it that there was one part we lost a clue from the yodeling. So we kind of got lost after that too. So that put us behind. And then that tied us up with the cheerleaders were able to catch up with us more.
Okay.
See, that's big. I don't know why they wouldn't show something like that. I mean, that's a crucial big thing to show, and it's a big explanation because we were kind of thrown off that you guys were the last team based off how it was edited and what we thought was going. We're like, all right, they're not at the front of the pack, but we didn't think you were dead last. So we were honestly in our review, we were surprised.
Yeah, no. We kind of had we were at those bells for a long time, so we kind of knew when we were done. Like, it's game over from here. But no, yeah, we ended up losing the clue. We should have fouled Will and Abby. We saw them drive by, and then we were running around a damn parking lot for who knows how long. There was like there's a spot that where you're supposed to park where it's like that yellow and red, and I'm scratching it thinking the clue's behind that damn thing, and we're running through a market, and we finally go on top of like this ledge, and then we look down and we saw the clue box, and that's when we opened it up, and then we arrived at the clue box the same time as Dave and Aubrey, so we got there, and then when we got to the clue box, we turned around and then we saw there's one clue left, and it was the cheerleaders, and we're like, we're not going to take dancing, because everybody else had a dance background, and then we didn't know the bells were what they were, and them damn things were damn near impossible.
Do you think you could have pulled off the dance looking back on it?
I think the dance would have been funnier. Rex would have been the girl. Because I know he would have said I would have been the girl, so I got to beat him to it.
Right.
That's crazy.
You know what? It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's you have two guys that don't have a music background, two guys with no dance background, so we were kind of screwed regardless in that leg. You know what I mean? Like it was two weaknesses that we don't have.
We made jokes on that covering that episode that like they should have like a drawing up a football play later in the season if you guys advance, because you guys would be experts at that, or like golfing or some form. Like I felt like a lot of the challenges so far have been very dance oriented and like rhythm. And if you guys don't have a music background, like it's tough on you guys.
Yeah. Like we saw that wheel of cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I don't brag about myself. I'm a run marathons. I'm a national power lifter. So I would have been throwing that cheese around like, all right, we got this, like run around.
Yeah, for sure.
That would have been fine. And then was the anatomy, Rex being in coaching and dealing with people and dealing with injuries and all that shit. Both of those would have been good, but it's easier to say what would have been easier after you already did it. You know what I mean? And when you're watching the show, every time you watch it, you're like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. Just like everybody else that's going to watch us and like, I could have done them bells. You know what I mean? No, man, it's a lot harder than what you think. So, I mean, it looks easier on TV, but when you're there, it's actually a lot more difficult than what it looks.
No,
no doubt.
And we kind of said that it's unfortunate when you kind of go out early in one of these competitions that the more legs that you have been on, it would have evened out with the type of challenges. It wouldn't have been all singing, wouldn't have been all music. They said there would have been some physical challenge, strength challenges. It would have trivia, all that kind of stuff would have balanced out. But I do think you guys took it in stride. You guys were definitely entertaining to watch. And again, it's why
definitely
we were remiss that you did not make it further. But again, I think you given us some good insight too. It's that you guys, and it kind of more of a testament to you guys that you stood out, that you weren't even really able to kind of converse with the other teams as much. So I thought it was you guys made a good showing in our opinion, and we've watched a good amount of the show.
Yeah, I mean, we did end up. I mean, end up making friends with all these people. You know what I mean? Like we're on a group chat together, and we talk all the time. I mean, everyone's pretty cool. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's so I mean, you do kind of find times to really talk to one another, but it's super limited. I mean, it's very limited, and they kind of separate you from everyone. But I think Rex broke all the rules. He was talking to everybody, and he was doing his own damn thing.
Well, no, I mean, completely get that. Philly guy, Eagles fan. We're big fans of his father, obviously. So, I mean, it's,
Right.
we've definitely got a soft spot for the Ryan family. Bri, was there anything else you wanted to cover? I feel like Tim definitely gave us good insight.
Yeah, I mean, I just am surprised that you weren't allowed to like even like tap like the fact that you couldn't even have a beer is kind of crazy to me. Like not even room service.
No, if you ordered room service and you wanted a beer, you had to use your leg money. So you weren't
Whoa.
sure, yeah, which is a huge game changer.
Wow, that's a
Wow.
big. That's
These
a
are
big
things we
nugget.
need to know about.
Yeah, so we were like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much money we're gonna need tomorrow, or so. I mean, yeah. So, and once you have one, you want two. Then you know what I
Of
mean.
course.
So,
In retrospect, you should have just bought a case.
Yeah, you should have they're eliminated because they drank too much beer.
That would have been memorable. It would have been memorable. Oh, that's great. But Tim, we really appreciate it. You were a lot of fun. Please give our love to Rex, like we've told you to offhand. We're gunning for those Team T-Rex hats, so we're gonna figure this out. But we really appreciate your time today.
all right, guys, appreciate you having me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Make sure you check out all the rest of our exit interviews. We do amazing race coverage weekly as well. So make sure you're subscribed, liking for that. And for myself, Brian, Tim, thank you. Peace.
All right, see you guys.